What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is Jeff Lightsey Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel in Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Come on into the room. Come on into the room. Typically, I'd have the timer on, but this is too big of news today. Too big of news today is coming out. I can't even afford to have the timer on because I need you guys to tune in. As we know, house rules, hit the thumbs up button as you come in because we are going to be talking about two of the best players in high school football who could potentially be a package deal to Jackson State. This is going to be big. National Signing Day is going to have a lot of tears of joy and tears of pain for a few different schools because a big announcement was made today, and that gives a lot of people indication that a top flight recruit is on his way to 1400 Lynch Street. So let me go ahead and show you what that announcement was. The announcement was pretty big. It came from a young man by the name of Harold Perkins. For those of you who follow me, who follow recruiting, who follows Jackson State recruiting, you know who Harold Perkins is. We've talked about Harold Perkins on the show. And it's good to be right sometimes. Sometimes I make some predictions and they don't make any sense, and they end up being wrong. And sometimes I make some predictions and I actually can pat myself on the back because I told you guys about Harold Perkins before the calendar struck 2022. And now we're here talking about Harold Perkins to Jackson State in January. But first, let me go ahead and share with you the news. Let me go ahead and share with you the news. This was the news that came out today. Harold Perkins decommits from Texas A&M. His uncle, he's a 5-star from Cypress, Texas. His uncle reached out to 24/7 Sports. His uncle let 247 Sports know, hey, Harold is, it's a difficult decision, and he is going to announce who he is going to take his talents to come February 2nd, National Signing Day. This is Harold Perkins. He was a 5-star. He was at the Under Armour All-American game. He was at the Polynesian Bowl, and he was hanging out with a guy Jackson State fans kind of gotten to know, and that is the young man by the name of Travis Hunter. So Harold Perkins decommits from Texas A&M. So that was the big news that broke today. That was all the news. And now I'm going to play for you a clip. Of me. This is me. We're gonna show you the date. We're gonna show you what I was saying, and we're gonna talk about how relevant this was. So this was me back on New Year's Eve. This was me. That's my channel back on New Year's Eve, and that is who? That is Harold Perkins I was talking about. I was talking about Harold Perkins because I saw him hanging out with Travis Hunter, who is now going to Jackson State, who was pledged to Jackson State then. And this was before Kevin Coleman. This was before Kevin Coleman made the announcement. This was before Coach Prime came out and said, we got another one coming. This was me talking about Harold Perkins. Now make sure, let me know in the chat. Please let me know in the chat that you can hear me. And we're going to talk about why we're listening to me, because like I said, sometimes it's good to be right. Sometimes it feels good to pat yourself on the back. So let's take a listen to me. The Texas. Why are we even talking about Jackson State? You just going off a picture? That's stupid. You're right. That is pretty stupid. So that's why I wouldn't just go off a picture. That's because I love you guys. I'm going to show you guys more evidence of why I believe this young man could end up at Jackson State. Now, once again, it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. It's still not. And honestly, the chances are slim, if we're just being honest. We just got to keep it a bean. Can we keep it on it? I tried my best all the time to keep it 100. The chances are actually very, very slim, just like they were slim in getting Travis Hunter, which they were. But I'm saying there's a chance, just like Hari Thompson told us before Travis announced. When I asked him, he said, I'm leaving the door open. I'm leaving the door open on Harold Perkins, even after he makes his commitment on January 2nd. I'm still leaving the door, even if he doesn't pick Jackson State, I'm still leaving the door open even after that, and I'll tell you why. So first, I said I'm leaving the door open for Jackson State even after he commits. He had a commitment for January 2nd, which is 2 days after this video was made. I said even after that commitment, I'm still leaving the door open for Jackson State. I'm still leaving the door open. And I went, and you can go and look at this video why I left it open then. This was made on December 31st, New Year's Eve. I said, even though he's probably not going to pick Jackson State on January 2nd, And I gave you a number of examples why he probably wasn't. I gave them to you back on this video, back 3 weeks ago. And I said there's still a chance he can pick Jackson State and I felt really, really confident, for what I knew. And sure enough, here we are on January 24th, and the young man's decommitted from Texas A&M, the school he chose on January 2nd, and he is going to make his final commitment on February 2nd, National Signing Day. Now, obviously, there's a ton of schools he can pick. There's a ton of schools he can pick. The man's a 5-star. He's a 5-star. He was a 5-star running back and linebacker. The man can do it all. Coach Prime loves his players that can play both ways. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button as you come in because we're really heavy in here. We know Coach Prime loves his players that can play both ways, and Harold is one of those guys. Harold is a special athlete. Like, he is special. Just like Travis is a special elite athlete, Harold is a special elite athlete. And one of you guys in my comments told me, you said, Harold and Shamar could be a package deal. We've talked about Shamar Stewart at length on this channel. And so now remember, this Shamar Stewart and Harold are 5-star athletes. They have scholarships from every school in the country, right? They can go anywhere that they want. But when you go to the 247 or the On3, which are two big recruiting sites, go to their Instagram. 247 is who Harold's family told he was decommitting from Texas A&M, and you look at the comments, what do you see a lot of? Fear the J hat. You see, obviously, it says 5-star help. Perkins decommits from Texas A&M. His uncle Alvin Watson tells 24/7 Sports. He visits LSU this weekend. He made a trip to Florida 2 weeks ago. So, like I said, the chances are still going to be very, very hard for Jackson State to land this young man. He's visited LSU and their new staff this weekend. He went to Florida 2 weeks ago. A lot of people think he's going to Florida. You see a lot of Gators in here. But what also do you see? You see Jackson State. All of these schools, Jackson State. All of these schools he can go to. Folks are scared JSU because the people know LSU or JSU. The people know. If you see that J hat on his commitment day at his school, people already know Jackson State is a real threat. Now think about that. Think about this. Like really, I really want you guys to understand how big this is. Think about how a small school, HBCU school in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, is competing for players at this level. It's competing for players, 5-star players, for players that typically would never consider an HBCU. Why? This was the post from On3. Now it says watch he signed with JSU. Florida lock. You see some Florida. Him and Stewart, JSU locks. Folks are really scared. Deion Sanders time. Folks really think that he's headed to Jackson State. Now, you would say, okay, Jeff, you know what I'm saying? Like, you had this insight back in December. What makes you confident? And I'm not even gonna say I'm confident, but what makes you think JSU is still in the running? Well, back in that video in December, I showed you guys how Harold and Travis Hunter were having a really good time. That was one of my indications that they were having a good time. They did a combined interview together. And the interviewer from ESPN asked Travis about signing with Jackson State, the impact, the implications, and all that stuff. And Travis was giving really dope answers or whatever. And then the guy shifted over to Harold, who was uncommitted at the time. And he was like, Harold, have you thought about going to HBCU? And he was like, man, shoot, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, that's what Travis did. You know what I'm saying? But me, I could maybe do it too. He didn't say that, but it was like, okay. Like, he's giving a little love. And him and Travis was kicking it. Him and Travis were tight. You got to, and I also talked about how Deion Sanders himself was a coach at the Under Armour All-American game for years. Deion Sanders himself is sponsored by Under Armour. Deion Sanders himself has a great relationship, not only with the lead sponsor, Under Armour, but also with the game, the actual Under Armour All-American game itself. Coach Prime used to roam those sidelines and coach those kids up. So he knows all the people that run that game over there. Not to mention he had his own player, Travis Hunter, there personally recruiting for him. And then they landed Kevin Coleman Jr. at the All-American game in Texas. At the it used to be Army All-American, now it's just the All-American game on NBC. They landed Kevin Coleman, and then Kevin Coleman and Travis Hunter both went to what's now called the Polynesian Bowl. And at the Polynesian Bowl, this took place. Let me go ahead. Let me share my screen once again. It's a super short video, and it's super innocent, and it could mean absolutely nothing. Or it could mean everything. Let me share my screen. Go ahead, click this button, click that button. And in this video, I titled it, "Are there 3 Jackson State Tigers in this video? JSU still working. Hashtag Deion Sanders shorts in HBCU." This I posted a couple days ago, January 22nd. Are there 3? That's Travis Hunter, 5-star cornerback, Jackson State signee. At the time, that's Harold Perkins. At the time, he was at Texas A&M. They got it wrong. He wasn't a signee. He was a commit. He hasn't signed anywhere. And then you're going to see a third young man come into the video. They're messing around, horse playing. That's Kevin Coleman, a Jackson State signee. Plus, by the way, Travis and Kevin Coleman have touched down or are on the way or enrolling in school today at Jackson State, by the way, for the JSU fans in the building. So, be sure to look out for that because they will be there during spring ball. And that was Kevin Coleman coming in. And they're all horse playing around. They're all having a good time. Let's run that back one more time. That's Travis Hunter. That's Harold Perkins. They're having a good time because, they connected out there when they were playing in the Under Armour game. Now they're down in Hawaii playing in the Polynesian Bowl. Those two, I said it's a really quick video. And the third young man, Kevin Coleman, the other JSU signee, comes in, and that happens. Now, all the kids that were at this game, at all the young men that were in Hawaii for this game, at all the people that were there that could have been hanging out, that could have been chilling together, that could have been doing anything together, these 3 young men were kicking it. I don't know about you, but that kind of matters. These 3 out of all those All-Americans, there was a ton of All-Americans at this game. I mean, a ton going up to a ton of different schools. But these 3 seem to find each other. I mean, you tell me what that means. You tell me. You tell me what that means. I'm just saying, please, someone in the chat, someone in the comments, tell me if I'm overhyping it, if I'm being overzealous. If I am, I know I can be. So tell me if I'm being overzealous, if I'm being overconfident, if I'm reading too much into videos and pictures. But chemistry matters. Your chemistry with your friends and your chemistry with your teammates and your chemistry with the people you hang out with, that matters. You're not just going to hang out with a guy or with someone, with a young lady or whoever, just because it's cool to say y'all was hanging out. No, y'all don't consistently hang out. If y'all consistently hang out, y'all consistently hang out because you get along, because you like being around each other, because what you're doing is life-changing. What you're doing. If Jackson State is able to land Travis Hunter, the number 1 player in the country, Harold Perkins, a top 10, 15 player, 5-star in the country, and Kevin Coleman Jr., a top 50 player in the country, in 1 recruiting class after just 1 fall season under Coach Prime at an historically Black college. That is unheard of, guys. That is unheard of. It's never been done before. I don't know if it'll ever be done again unless Jackson State does it again. And this is the other reason why I'm feeling very, very confident about Harold. At first, I thought it was Shamar. I was feeling pretty confident about Shamar. And then we're going to talk about the package deal. Then we're going to talk about what's taking place. But this is also why I feel pretty confident about Harold, Shamar, or both. This was Coach Prime ahead of the playoff games that took place this past weekend on his Barstool show, talking about Jackson State having something in the chamber. Let's take a listen.
Well, I just tell you what, we gonna get another one this next week. I'm just.
Let's go, Dion. That's my coach. That's my coach.
Love to hear
we
that.
We got to make them mad again because we got to get another one next week. Okay.
Let's run that back. What'd you say, Coach? Run that back. Let's listen to Coach Prime one more time.
Well, I just tell you what, we gonna get another one this next week. I'm just letting you know.
Let's go, Dion. That's my coach. That's my coach.
Love to hear
we
that.
got to make them mad again because we got to get another one next week. Okay.
I mean, come on, dude. This is too much fun. This is too much fun, guys. This is too much fun. Shout out to my guy CFL. If they get Shamar Stewart, nobody, and I mean nobody. I don't know. Those G-men look pretty good, though, CFL. The G-men rambling. Shout out to the G-men. Now, the thing is, I came on here. Originally, I was coming on here to talk to you guys about this garbage that I saw from On3. Speaking of On3, we've shown an On3 thing. I originally came on here to show you all. Well, first, I want to show you this. So Harold, like there's so many signs that show that makes you really believe that Harold is headed to Jackson State. Harold, like it's. I'm not saying it's becoming obvious, but remember when I was saying it was unlikely? It's looking more and more likely. The official Jackson State football account tweeted this. I believe JSU 22, talking about the recruiting class, with what? A bunch of hats that have the Jackson State logo, a bunch of Jackson State hats. Now, the running thing on Twitter and on social media is once you see that Jackson State hat on the table, it's over. Like, once you see that Jackson State hat on the table, like folks who, like now, especially if you're a top recruit, because it almost looks out of place. To a lot of people, it looks out of place. To us, to me, it looks beautiful. Up there on the stage, whether it's Kevin Coleman, whether they're tossing it to Travis Hunter, whether, Kevin Coleman putting on a blazer or whatever. Because to a lot of people who follow college football historically, they think that Jackson State hat looks out of place next to a Alabama, next to a Georgia, next to a Miami, next to a, whatever, Florida State or whatever. It almost looks out of place because, one, Jackson State is an FCS program. And you don't see 5-stars go to FCS programs. We're talking about a 5-star turning down the opportunity to play in a college football playoff. You're talking about a 5-star who's turning down the opportunity to play in some kind of bowl game. We're talking about a 5-star turning down the opportunity to play in front of what they would believe is some of the best fans in the country. But that's not what these guys are doing. These guys are turning down that opportunity for a greater one, for a greater purpose, for something that means something, for something that has more substance, for something that is going to be, when they look back, when they're 50, 60, 70 years old, they're going to be like, yo, I'm so glad I made that decision to go to JSU. I'm so glad that I went to a historically black college. I'm so glad every single week that I went out to play college football. There might not have been 100,000 fans, but there was 60,000 strong that look just like me. That's what they're doing. They're not turning something better away. They're choosing the better option. Like that, like, oh man. Shout out to CFL, man. He said he got something in the world. He seemed to know something that I don't. If you guys haven't seen the CFL podcast, make sure you go over and subscribe to the CFL podcast because it sounds like he knows something I don't. I know a little bit of something. I'm a little bit connected, but I ain't this dude right here, man. So make sure you turn into the CFL podcast because he clearly knows something. He clearly knows something. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. So yeah, Jackson State ain't just the official. I mean, this is the official account. You see that blue check up there? Them folks ain't just tweeting these Jackson State hats for no reason. Immediately after Harold Perkins decommits from Texas A&M. You think they just go tweet? They just happen to do this by chance? They just happen to do this by accident? No, none of this was accident. All of this was designed. None of this was accident. All of this was designed. Exactly. Tell him, let us know. Demetra, tell him to let us know what is going on. Like, oh my goodness, this is so crazy, guys. This National Signing Day, because now, I mentioned in the title that this could be a package deal. See, the first time, yeah, tell them, DJ. Make sure, hey, you guys go at CFL and tell them to let us know something. So, I had to come on here. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Who's in here really, really heavy. Hit the thumbs up button. So I mentioned that this could potentially be a package deal with Shamar Stewart. Now, let me go ahead and show you guys Shamar. We've covered Shamar at great lengths on this channel. Shamar Stewart is the big time cat out of Florida. He is a 5-star recruit. No, I'd be losing my train of thought. I originally came on here. I had no idea before this Harold Perkins, because I don't know anything. Before this Harold Perkins stuff came out, I originally came on here to talk about this. Now, this is what I thought I was going to do my story on today, but the Harold Perkins news kind of superseded it. This right here, did you guys see this? On3, which is like one of those recruiting sites we talked about, On3 had the damn nerve, the unmitigated gall to drop Travis Hunter from the number 1 player in the country to the number 8. Did you guys see this? Please let me know in the chat. Please let me know in the comments. Did you guys see where On3 Sports had the nerve to drop Travis Hunter from the number 1 spot to the number 8 spot? And I tweeted, I had to let it be known. My Twitter's at JLighty7, by the way. I said, these fools dropped Travis 7 spots solely based on the fact that he's going to Jackson State. They had to drop him 7 spots solely for the fact that he is going to Jackson State. Because why else would you drop the number? You don't drop him from number 1 to number 2, which would have been silly, but okay, whatever. Not number 1 to number 5, not number 1 to number 3. You dropped him from the number 1 player, which he is the consensus number 1 player on pretty much every platform, except for this one, and ESPN has him at number 2. He hasn't done anything. This is what he's done, because they update these rankings, right? And they base it off like team success, what you were able to do, et cetera, et cetera. They dropped him from number 1 to number 8 while his team won a state title, while his game was on ESPN and he showed out with that ESPN top play with the catch, touchdown, dive for the end zone, and he goes to the Polynesian Bowl and wins MVP. So what the hell did he do to deserve to drop 7 spots? All he did, think about it. Travis was hurt a lot of his senior year. His team, he came back and helped his team win a state title in the state of Georgia, one of the highest classifications in the state, and we know how big football is in Georgia. He plays in a national tournament where he shows out on an ESPN field. He goes to the Under Armour All-American game and makes plays during that, and then goes to the Polynesian Bowl and wins defensive MVP. He wins MVP. So what the only reason why you drop him from number 1 to number 8 is because he signed to an FCS school. It's because he signed to a HBCU. It's because he signed to Jackson State. There's no other reason. There is no other reason why you do that. There's no other reason. So this is what I thought I was going to come on here to talk about, because I was pissed when I seen this. I was like, bro, are you serious? You can't be serious. But they decided to do that. Now, we're also on commitment watch for Shamar Stewart. We talked about Shamar on this platform before, but I got to do it again. I got to talk about Shamar again, because Shamar and Harold are on commitment watch for Jackson State. Shamar Stewart. Okay, so this is the young man, 6'6", 270 pounds, out of the state of Florida. And we know Florida's got some ballers. Shamar Stewart. Now look at what all the experts think over here. I don't know who's going to be more mad at Jackson State, Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M people, or Harold Perkins, Texas A&M. And it was so funny. So shout out to CFL, because I watch his stuff all the time. And CFL said Jackson State, and he was right about this. He was like, Jackson State fans, y'all thought y'all got some backlash from Florida State? Y'all take one of these Texas A&M boys, or 2 guys that they thought was going to Texas A&M. You're going to experience a line of racism I don't think I don't think most people have ever experienced. Shamar Stewart, 6'6", 272, on commitment watch for February 2nd. Who also was on commitment watch for February 2nd? Harold Perkins. It's the same thing. It's the same day Harold Perkins is going to commit as well. Yo, this could be a historic signing day if Jackson State is able to grab Harold Perkins and Shamar Stewart on the same day to go with Travis Hunter, Kevin Coleman Jr., and all of those transfers. Think about that. If Jackson State, a small HBCU in Jackson, Mississippi, a small black college in Jackson, Mississippi, that's not even FBS, that plays on the FCS level, is able to grab 3 5-stars and 1 4-star in one recruiting cycle, I don't know if that's ever been done since integration. I don't think that has ever been done since integration. So all of those folks, those Doug Gottliebs and those people who think, you know what I'm saying, like who just say anything like, oh, they're not going to play any competition and they're not going to get a better education. Like Doug Gottlieb had the nerve to question Jackson State's education, as if historically black colleges and university hasn't produced some of the greatest scholars, greatest thinkers, greatest people, not just black people, like people in the history of America. You know what I'm saying? Like that pissed me off like crazy when I saw that. But if Jackson State, like how historic, I want to listen to you guys, because I remember the other day I did the Eddie Robinson versus Deion Sanders comparison, and some of y'all was biting my head off, especially Graham fam. The Graham fam came for me because they was like, Coach Rob, man, but this Jackson State recruiting class, it could potentially be really, really spicy, really, really spicy. Like really, really spicy. I saw this too. Or someone says Robert Smith is off topic, but could be acquiring the Broncos. That would be pretty cool. Someone did send that to my DMs. But if Jackson State is able, I mean, woo! Like JSU. Let's wrap real quick. Let's talk. Well, come on, JSU fans, JSU faithful, hit the thumbs up button. But let's talk real quick. What would be the average attendance at the Vet if Jackson State is able to grab Shamar Stewart, Harold Perkins to go into this current recruiting class and the change of offense to that air raid offense with Brent Bartolone as the offense coordinator? What we thinking the average attendance would be? So the average attendance in the fall of 21 was 42,000. It broke the old Jackson State record of 37,000 every home game, and now it's 42,000. So if the standard right now, that's the highest, is 42,000. We know the Vet can get it roughly around 59, 60,000. What's our average attendance? What do we think? What do we think? So someone says max capacity. Someone says 45,000, 50K, 45,000, at least 50. So we're thinking on average, Jackson State can average 50,000 people. So think about this. You guys believe that it'll be 50, 55,000 sold out every game. You know what I'm saying? You guys think it'll be, 50,000. Yeah, it was 42. So it was 42.3. That was the average last fall. And by the way, we need to, like, shout out to Tiffany Green and Jay Walker. They do a great job. But sometimes those broadcasts, they be shortchanging Jackson State and others when they show them on those ESPN 36s, as Coach Prime would call it. So we're thinking, sold out, 50K, 40K, you know what I'm saying, 60K for homecoming, 45. So like we're thinking a good amount of people. So I asked that because think about what that does to a young man. Think about what that does to a Harold Perkins, or what that does to a Travis Hunter, or what that does to a Kevin Coleman, or whoever. Because a lot of these guys have been to every school in the country. They've been to the Alabamas. They've been to the Ohio States and the Penn States and the Floridas and the Florida States and the Swamp and all these different places. And they've seen 90, 100,000 people in there. And I talked about this on previous broadcasts. They've seen 90, 100, some places. I think Ohio State Big House can get like 110,000 people in the stands. And that's double than what we expect. We thinking like 50, 55, 60 maybe. So they can get almost double. But here's the difference. Here's why it's so different. There's 120, 100, whatever, 110, 105, 20,000 in those stadiums. But how many of those people look like me and you? Outside the families of the players on the field, outside of the families of most of the coaches on the sideline, and outside of a few of the students that go to those universities, what we say about, if it's 100,000, what we say about 20 black people, 20,000 black people, 15, maybe 20 on a good 30, maybe. 30, but they're sprinkled in with 100,000 people that don't look like us. So you're thinking like maybe 30, like high end is 30, and I don't believe it's that many, but high end 30 sprinkled in with 100,000 other folks. But you come to Jackson State and you see 50,000 that look like you, 60,000 that look like you, that cheer like you, that bop like you, that dance like you, that play the music that you listen to. Then you got the J sets or the Sonic Boom of the South. And then if you're playing, even if you're on the road or the road team comes in, you got FAMU or whoever coming in, then you get to play at a classic, at an Orange Blossom Classic down in Miami with the Battle of the Bands and the Battle of the Fans and all the media press and all that kind of stuff. All that hoopla that's fun with a bunch of people that look like you, remember, because you got to remember the people that's running these things are black. And then you go to the Southern Heritage Classic with another 40, 50,000 in Memphis with good barbecue, good tailgating, good things like that. Like, just these kids ain't never seen nothing like that. A lot of these young men either play at inner city high schools that don't have great equipment, they don't do this, they don't do that. They go and play these all-star games and they don't see a bunch of people that look like them at the all-star games besides the players. Or they go to, a lot of them go to prep or private schools that's full of white folks. Let's just, call a spade a spade. None of them folks look like them. If they're, well enough to go to like a prep school, a Saint something, or Trinity, or, a Trinity Catholic or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So those people don't look like them who's running the organization. And then you come to a Jackson State, you come to a homecoming. Coach Prime said it. He said the worst thing these folks can do is allow their kid to come to an HBC homecoming. Not just Jackson State. You go to the Bayou Classic with Grambling versus Southern. You go to the Florida Classic with Bethune-Cookman versus FAMU. You go to like these kids they'll get the football. It'll be a different football experience, something that they've never seen in their entire life. Something they probably haven't seen since like Little League. Like Little League games, you see a bunch of black people, right? Like most of the Little League leagues. But then you doing that times 1,000. You're magnifying that times 1,000. Like, that's crazy. Like, that is why it's not so crazy that they're putting Grambling in their Final Four, or Christian Miller is going to visit FAMU, right? Christian Miller, the 4-star defensive end, is visiting FAMU, while Grambling is making the top 4 for 4 stars, while Jackson State is looking like the sleeper for a couple of 5 stars. Like, that's not by accident. That's because these young men, one, understand their value. The NFL will find you. If you're under a rock and you can play ball, the NFL is going to find you. Ask Darius Leonard, ask some of these guys like Carson Wentz, who went to North Dakota State, or Trey Lance, who went to North Dakota State. These were FCS programs. These weren't high-level Division I Power 5 programs. These were FCS programs, just like a Jackson State. So come on, man. Come on. Like this is so crazy. This is so crazy that this is really taking place. Chris, you're actually right. Chris says he played running back. And that's why I talked about that in that other video. Harold Perkins playing running back is a great benefit for him and could lean him towards Jackson State. Because one, Jackson State didn't go out and get a running back. And two, Coach Prime lets dudes play both ways. Lets dudes play both ways. And he lets dudes play multiple sports. Malachi Wadman's a starter for the JSU basketball team right now. Travis Hunter is going to play both receiver and cornerback at JSU. I promise. I don't know if he's going to start both, but he's going to play both. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is really happening. If JSU gets Harold and Shamar, I'm going to read some of your comments now, and then I'm going to get out of here. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, guys. Once again, we're talking about the package deal that could be Shamar Stewart and Harold Perkins ending up at Jackson State. We've laid out a bevy of reasons why it could happen. We've seen the tweets. We've heard directly from Coach Prime himself. This is not by accident. All of this was by design. And February 2nd, we're going to get a chance to see what takes place. It says if JSU gets Harold and Shamar, they would literally have to do is run the spill and kill technique on defense, and they'll dominate with their personnel. Their personnel is next level. But we do know, because we watched the Celebration Bowl, that it's about more than just personnel. We know from watching the Celebration Bowl, you got to do some coaching in there too. Ask Coach Buddy Pugh, who's been doing this for 20 years and put on a coaching clinic. JSU fans, I know you don't want to hear it, but he put on a coaching clinic against Coach Prime. I mean, he did. He looked like he enjoyed his FAMU visit. Yes, he did. He was taking all the pictures, wearing all the gear. FAMU sponsored by LeBron James and them. Hey, FAMU, don't sleep on head coach Willie Simmons. Like the first game, or like the second game, I think it's FAMU's second game, but it's one of the earliest games in the season, might determine who wins the SWAC. The Orange Blossom Classic is going to have huge implications, but don't sleep on the G-Men at Grambling because they're pulling. It's like every day Grambling gets a new recruit. We're actually going to have Wallace Unamba on the platform today, later tonight, 8 p.m. Wallace Unamba, one of the offensive linemen, commits to Hugh Jackson in Grambling. He's going to come on here and talk about going to Grambling. It says, yeah, I played at North Dakota State. The only people I saw that looked like me were the athletes. I bet you did, Trucking with Tony. I bet. And that's how it's like at a lot of these schools. Texas A&M has a student base of 73,000 people. 73,000 people. We know what the percentages are. It ain't very high of people that look like us. Hopefully Coleman and Hunter was doing some recruiting at the bowl. You know they were. We showed the video. So we got a lot of new people. I want to re-show some of these videos that we watched earlier because we got a lot of new people just tuned in. Once again, we're talking about what is taking place with Jackson State in the Harold Perkins. So for those of you who don't know, Harold Perkins, a 5-star linebacker out of Cypress, Texas, has decommitted from Texas A&M. He was seen hanging out with Travis Hunter and Kevin Coleman at the Polynesian Bowl. He looked like he was having a good time. And over the weekend, Coach Prime dropped this nugget on us, and you take what you want from it. Let's take a listen.
Well, I just tell you what, we're going to get another one this next week. I'm just letting you
Oh, let's go, Dion. That's my coach. That's my coach.
Love to hear
We've
that.
had to make him mad again because we've had to get another one next week, okay?
So that's what Coach Prime had to say. That's what he had to say in regards over the weekend when everybody's watching the playoff games and enjoying their favorite team, either winning or losing or whatever was taking place with your favorite team. That happened. And then also during the same weekend, we were able to see this. Let me make sure you guys can see. Let me share my screen. For those of you who are tuning in late, let's see. Let me share this screen. This is, we go. I tweeted this. I put this out on my YouTube. My YouTube is Jeff Lightsey Jr. I said, are there 3 Jackson State Tigers in this video? You see, this is Travis Hunter, who comes into the frame. That's Harold Perkins, who just decommitted. It says Texas A&M signee. He was not a signee. It was just a commit. He comes into the frame. Harold Perkins comes into the frame. They're, of course, playing. They're out in Hawaii. They're loving it up. And then Kevin Coleman Jr., the one who committed on the All-American game on NBC, signed with Jackson State. He put that Jackson State hat on. He put the Jackson State hat on the table after the commercial break. You know, you guys peep it how he put it on there after the commercial break. Everybody saw the Miami and they saw the other stuff, and everybody thought he was about to pick up the Miami. And then he told Pops, pull that out for me. Pull that jacket, throw that jacket on me. He comes into the frame, and they're all horse playing around. And I said, are we looking at 3 future Jackson State Tigers? And potentially we could have been. Potentially we could be. This is getting good, guys. This is getting really, really, really good. It's going to be epic because both Shamar Stewart and Harold both commit on National Signing Day. Both commit on National Signing Day. I also want to show you guys something because of you. I do want to show you. I put this also on my YouTube channel. I thought this was pretty cool. I only did this because it is a testament to you, what you guys are doing by supporting my channel. This right here, Coach Prime actually saw one of my reels I put on Instagram. My Instagram, I want to show you my Instagram. 1 second, my Instagram. My Instagram is the same as my Twitter, J Lightsey 7. But Coach Prime actually liked one of the reels. He liked one of the reels that I posted talking about Quavo helping him recruit. And he liked it. And I was like, yo, Instagram, people stuff be getting hacked. And so many fake pages are out there. So I had to click it. And it was the real Coach Prime. Like it was the real Deion Sanders, blue check and all. He actually liked one of the videos that I posted. And then so I just found that as a testament to you guys for supporting my channel. We put that out there. Coach Prime seemed to like it. So I thought that was pretty cool. But Jackson State looks like they might have just hooked another big fish. So we got to wait and see. We're going to wait and see what's happening. Let me take a look at some of your comments, and then we're going to get out of here. It says if Deion Sanders gets them both, a whole lot of P5s will come at him next year. Just think of so this is the thing, and I've talked about this before. The Power Fives are already calling Coach Prime. Whether y'all know it or not, the Power Fives, they're already calling him. Obviously, we think, a lot of people think this is just like a 2 or 3 year, 4 year stepping stone job for Deion Sanders. But see, here's the thing, and I've said this before on this channel. Coach Prime can go to Ole Miss and win 10 SEC titles, win 5, 6, 7 games, win 10 national championships. He will never have the impact at an Ole Miss that he is having right now at Jackson State. He cannot impact Ole Miss the way he is impacting and changing the culture at an HBCU for all HBCUs and at Jackson State. There's nothing he could do at Ole Miss. First of all, Ole Miss is super racist. They have a super racist past. Like, oh my God, like escorting kids in with the National Guard at Ole Miss. Like that, we just can't ignore that. But a lot of coaches do the stepping stone jobs, and a lot of coaches go to the next level and go to different jobs because it's the money. It's because of pay. They want the competitive difference and they want to get paid. Coach Prime don't need to get paid. He's already paid. Like, he is already paid. He's already got his bread. That man played over 15 years in the NFL. He's one of the greatest defenders, if not the greatest. He's the greatest cornerback ever, but one of the greatest defenders ever. Then he played in the Major League Baseball. The man played in the World Series. He won 2 Super Bowls, made the NFL all 75 team, all 100 team, and then messed around College Football Hall of Fame, and then messed around and played in the World Series. The man is paid. Don't forget he's got his endorsements with Pepsi, with Chevrolet, with Under Armour, with Aflac. Like, he got endorsements everywhere. He had a TV show, Living with Deion or whatever, that was on the Oprah Winfrey Network. Deion Sanders is good when it comes to money. Like, I'm not counting his pockets, but the man good. He's very, very good. And his podcast, he got his Barstool deal. Like, he is good. So coaching for him is for the pure joy. Coaching for him is for the pure excitement. Coaching for him is because he really, really enjoys what he is doing and the impact he is making. Coach Prime recently posted this as well, too. We knew this, we've seen this, but this let me know that I think if he leaves Jackson State, I don't know. I think he would just be leaving to be done with coaching. Like that's just me. And him posting this again recently kind of made me feel that way, feel comfortable enough to say this. This was on Coach Prime's Instagram page. He recently reposted from one of his interviews he did with the Undefeated. Let's take a listen. Fair use, by the way. Fair use. I'm not trying to get...
By God himself, not a man next to the man, but God himself, to come here and provoke change. When I say change, I mean change. I mean come in one way and leave another. Change. I mean think one way and then think another. I mean change. Look one way and then look another. That's what.
So the man, like think about what he's saying. He said, I was called by God to make change. Not by the man himself, God, to make change. We're on here really heavy. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, guys. We are in here a couple hundred deep. It is really, really heavy. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. But he's saying he's called by God to make change. Like I done been called by a few people to come do something. I don't know if I've been called by God to make some kind of change. You get what I'm saying? Like, a man to make a statement that bold, to say you were called by God, you don't be called by God to do something for 1 or 2 or 3 years. You don't be called by God just to go jump ship to a bigger, better opportunity. You ain't called by, like, he done all of that. He did all of that. There's nothing Coach Prime can do at Ole Miss, at TCU, at Florida State, at all these different Power 5 schools that people are going to toss his name around for until he leaves Jackson State. There's nothing he can do with those universities to make a fraction of the impact he's doing, not only for Jackson State, not only for the SWAC, not only for HBCU football, but for our culture, period. For our culture, this is a Coach Prime, Deion Sanders is a culture changer in America. Like, this is how magnified, like, this is how big this is. This is why this is so big. This is why he is so important. This is why, like, you know what I'm saying, going to one of these other schools, you can't do a fraction of what you're doing at Jackson State, because look at the domino effect. Look at the domino effect. Coach Prime only been at Jackson State, what, 16 months total. He was announced as the head coach of Jackson State in September of 2020. And in roughly 16 months, 15 months or whatever, he's won a SWAC championship. He's won the most games in Jackson State in a single season. He's recruited a 5-star and a 4-star and potentially 2 more 5-stars. He's upgraded the facilities, upgraded the jerseys, upgraded everything at Jackson. Like, they just going crazy over there. Then Eddie George takes the Tennessee State job primarily because of Prime. That came out of his own mouth. He took the Tennessee State job because of Deion Sanders. During that, he hires Hugh Jackson as his offensive coordinator, who the next year takes the job at Grambling State. Shout out to the G-Men and the Graham fam. You guys show me hella love. He takes the Grambling job, which he might not have ever been interested in if he doesn't go to Tennessee State, and he's only at Tennessee State because Eddie George is there, and Eddie George is only there because of Deion Sanders. So let's run it all out. And then at Grambling, Coach Hugh Jackson is changing everything, making a hell of an impact, grabbing his own 3 stars, big-time transfers, et cetera, et cetera. All of that is happening. All of these dominoes are happening because of what Deion Sanders did, because of Coach Prime, because of what he's been able to do and the decision he made to come to Jackson State. So, come on, like, we got to give credit where credit is due. We got to give this man his flowers. We got to let him know every single chance we get, we love this dude. Like, whether you a Jackson State fan or not, the man is literally changing the game. The man is literally changing the game. As someone said, I would love to see Tennessee State. Do not be surprised. The OVC, which is the conference that Tennessee State is in, the OVC is falling apart. The OVC is falling apart. It just is what it is. Murray State, I think, is scheduled to leave. Austin Peay, another good school out there, scheduled to leave. Belmont, I want to say, is scheduled to leave. So the OVC is falling apart. Tennessee State might be in the business of looking for a new conference very, very soon. I personally would love if TSU goes to the MEAC because the MEAC needs some help. The MEAC needs some help. They lost NC State. They lost FAMU. But Tennessee State could make its way to the SWAC. Like, they could make its way to the SWAC. So that is, the MEAC is falling apart. And that's why I would love to see TSU go to the MEAC. I would love to see NC State because not NC State, North Carolina A&T. North Carolina A&T, who left the MEAC for the Big South. The Big South is starting to fall apart because Hampton just left the Big South. And so I would love if the MEAC could go and snag A&T up. I would love if the MEAC could go snatch A&T back up. FAMU's good where they're at. They ain't leaving the SWAC. Go snatch A&T back up. Go down and snag Tennessee State. And now the MEAC's looking really, really good. You got some star power head coaches in the football conference. Like, it would be really, really cool. That's like a personal thing. But I don't know if that happens. Someone says Hugh Jackson is gangster. He took players from Yeah. Southern had a chance at Hugh. Now Hugh was flipping recruits from Southern. That's tough. Like that. Like Southern has got a linebacker that is a transfer from LSU. They had a transfer cornerback from Arkansas, Devin Bush. He flipped from Southern to Grambling. Now their linebacker, the transfer from LSU, is considering flipping from Southern to Grambling as well. So Southern, I don't want to, I'm not trying to throw salt in the wound. We had Jatire Carter on our show last week. He's going to the Reese Senior Bowl. He's going to be an NFL prospect, but Southern, it ain't looking good. You got some work to do. You got some work to do. That's just my thoughts. And this is facts. I agree. The MEAC move to Tennessee State. Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see them end up in the MEAC. So we will give them Bethune-Cookman. Hey, don't sleep on Bethune-Cookman, man. We love that. We love that Florida Classic. Bethune-Cookman FAMU. We love that Florida Classic. So you know what I'm saying. We can't just get rid of that. Someone says North Carolina A&T wants to be in the CAA. That is where Hampton's headed. I want to say. Hampton is headed. Isn't Hampton headed to the CAA? So that might be a thing. I would love to see North Carolina A&T back in the MEAC, though. That's just a personal thing. North Carolina A&T has dominated the Celebration Bowl. Like North Carolina A&T has the most wins in Celebration Bowl history. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, the SWAC has only won one Celebration Bowl. That was the G-Men. Grambling did that. And North Carolina A&T basically got all the other wins. Besides, South Carolina State won this year. North Carolina A&T pretty much got every other win. So that would be cool to get them back into it. They can give them about $1.4 million estimated for plus $300,000. Yeah. As far as money, Coach Prime's money, he's not doing this for money. He's doing this because he loves it. He loves the game. He gets to coach his sons, both of them, two of his sons. He gets to coach all of these young men, and he's provoking change like no other. He is provoking change like no other. Someone says NC State and Cat should have never left me. I don't think they should have either. I'm not a fan of the move. I'm not a fan of the move, but I understand why they did it. Schools leave conferences for money. And they figured they could get some money in some of these other conferences as they made more money. Yeah, so that's why they left the school. Southern has some work to do. Southern they're losing their recruits to Coach Hugh coming through like Debo on the bike. He's like, Coach Hugh coming through like Debo, and Southern looking like Smokey, where he's like, yeah, we made about $200. No, I made $200, fool. You know what I'm saying? Coming through taking Red's chain. You feel me? His mama gave him that chain. Man, Southern mama gave him that chain, Coach Hugh. You ain't got to do him like that, man. Hey, mama gave him that chain. Let's continue reading. This is the national eyes are on the HBCU football. Interested to see how the SWAC handles the ESPN deal. So we talked about that. I've talked about this contract. And this is another reason why Coach Prime is critical. Because how do these conferences make their money? Obviously, they sell tickets. Obviously, they sell merch. Obviously, they get donations from boosters and they get donations from big donors or whoever. Obviously, that's an easy way to make money. They make their real money through TV contracts. They make their real money through TV contracts. I'm going to say that one more time. They make their real money, all these leagues, not just college football, the NBA, the NFL, the National Hockey League, the MLB. All of them make their money through TV contracts. Why do you think all those schools keep leaving their conference to go to the SEC? Because the SEC got the best TV deal. The SEC's got a big-time TV deal with CBS, and the SEC's always in. They basically got a TV deal with ESPN because they're always in the college football playoff. And so the SWAC, more so the SWAC than any other HBCU conference, the SWAC with all the star power that they're bringing in, from their coaches, Hugh Jackson, Deion Sanders, to their players, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Kevin Coleman, potentially Harold Perkins and Shamar Stewart, and some of those guys from Grambling, all this star power. People want to see these young men play. People want to see them on TV. They don't want to buy ESPN Plus to see the number one player in high school play at Jackson State. They don't want to play on ESPN 36. They want to see these top-ranked players play on 31, which is ESPN where I'm from, or 30, which is ESPN2 where I'm from. They want to play, or 908 for some of you guys that have like Spectrum or whatever. Like they want to play on basic cable. They don't want to have to rig and stream and do this and do that to find these top-ranked players. So ESPN is going to have to cough up that dough, and when they do that, all hell's going to break loose. When ESPN coughs up the bread, and if it ain't ESPN, it's going to be Fox Sports 1. ESPN going to have the bird rights because they do the Celebration Bowl and they do all this. So they go, and they do the conference right now. So they're going to have it fun first. But when they do, all the floodgates are going to be open. The floodgates are going to be open because now the conference will have more money. Now the conference schools will have more money, and more money comes better equipment. More money comes better coaches. More money comes better equipment. More money comes better facilities. More money means better recruits, and better recruits equal better product on the field. Better product on the field equals NFL. NFL comes calling, and that's why I said the floodgates are going to open. Literally, the floodgates are going to open. So that... Whew, man, I get excited, as you can tell. I get excited talking about this kind of stuff. Let me read a few more of these comments. It says, let's start NIL 1,000. Yeah, I don't know what that. So someone asked, what's Hugh's big announcement? Hugh hasn't made the announcement. It was supposed to come out last week. I came on here and I was like, yo, Hugh Jackson got a big announcement. He has not made it. He has not made it. Once again, he has not made it. Someone says the MEAC needs playoffs. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think so. I like what the MEAC and the SWAC do now with their own Celebration Bowl. Winner takes all. their own celebration bowl. They don't need to go to the FCS playoffs. First of all, they don't make no money from the FCS playoffs. They spend money to go out to North Dakota or to go out to Sam Houston or to go out to these places that nobody's even going to be there. Then they go out there. This is what the FCS playoffs is like. You have to pay for your own hotel. You have to pay for your own travel, whatever. It's aired on ESPN, but there's like 2,000 people there because nobody gives a crap. And it's always so far. So the Jackson State or the FAMU or whoever fans, they're not even traveling because it's a waste of time. It says FAMU trying to run from Bethune-Cookman. Oh, okay. I don't know if they're trying to do that. FAMU kind of beat up on Bethune this year. Bethune had a win streak, but FAMU kind of beat up on them boys a little bit. So yeah, there's that. It says Jackson State can't pay him enough. So like the SWAC playoffs. Oh, okay. Possibly. Let's see. The FCS playoffs are overrated. Well, that's very, very true. Let's see. The NCAA ESPN contract ends after the 23-24 season. And here's the thing, Lawrence. I actually like that better because this is why I like that better. One, obviously people were saying, well, Deion might be gone. Deion ain't going nowhere. He's still going to be there. I like that better because you're going to have now, at this point, a track record of the attendance at the games. You're going to have a track record of the ratings of the games. You're going to have a track record. And so when you come with that track record, they're going to have to cough up the dollars. So I actually like that because that's going to be able to allow you to leverage a bigger contract with ESPN or CBS or ABC or NBC or a lot of people holding out the dream that BET is going to get in there. BET ain't getting in there. So we can give up on that dream because I know a few of us, we had hope that possibly we could see HBCU football on BET once again, but that ain't happening. So, yeah, there's that. Let's see, the FCS playoffs overrated. No value at all for HBCU schools, Kevin. You're right. No value at all. It says, imagine if there were 2 HBCUs in the FCS playoffs and they meet up. That sounds good in theory, but once again, it's not worth nothing. I feel like the Celebration Bowl title is way more lit. The Celebration Bowl week down there in Atlanta in the A, they get barbers, they get a dinner, they get all kinds of cool stuff, swag bags, all kinds of stuff. That's way more lit than anything that the FCS playoffs is putting together. That's just a personal thing. It says the MEAC does not have a MEAC championship like the SWAC has. Oh, okay. That's what you're talking about. Sorry about that. Yeah. No, the MEAC definitely needs a championship game. You're right, because South Carolina State went 5-0, and then they just were, declared the MEAC champions. I think it's hard right now for the MEAC to have a MEAC championship game because there's not that many teams in the MEAC right now. There's not. I mean, we just talked about all the defections. FAMU defected. North Carolina A&T defected. But all these other schools, Bethune-Cookman defected. Like all these schools have defected from the MEAC. They need to go try to see if they can convince A&T to come back, see if they can possibly snag Tennessee State, and then they can put together a MEAC championship game. But until then, you gotta have conference teams. You have divisions to have a conference championship, and you gotta have teams to have conference divisions. And right now, they really just don't have that many teams. So that's what's hurting the MEAC. But it ain't hurt them in the Celebration Bowl because they've been kicking butt in the Celebration Bowl for years now. This is the payout for the Celebration Bowl should have increased, and they hurried up and signed the deal before the numbers came out. Yeah, I think because they were so excited about the sellout and they had ultimate leverage with the sellout that I don't know if the numbers on the deal would have swayed it anymore because they had already sold it out and they negotiated the contract right after the sellout was announced. So I don't think that was a bad deal. I think a 6-year deal was kind of a lot, but that's 6 years of guaranteed money that they're going to have via Cricket to both the SWAC and the MEAC. So I'm not mad at it at all. So shout out to the SWAC and the MEAC presidents who were able to pull that off and make that happen. It says, let's keep supporting the Celebration Bowl. Remember, the Ivy League wanted to steal this bowl from us. I did not know that. Shout out to NC Aggie. I did not know that that the Ivy League was actually trying to steal the bowl. Yeah, Celebration Bowl had over 2.5 million viewers, so that was really, really cool. Yeah, this ain't 1986. BET is now the Tyler Perry owned. It's not just all reruns. It's now owned pretty much by Tyler Perry. All of his shows are on BET, by the way. So that says just schedule an exhibition game against the FC. That would be cool, John. That I actually wouldn't mind. I would love for it to be somewhere down south, though, because North Dakota State pretty much wins it every year, or James Madison's up there. It would have to be somewhere in the south because it would only make sense No need to go up to North Dakota. I think James Madison's in Virginia. No need to make that trip. That would be garbage. Nobody's trying to do that. So somewhere in like Atlanta or Houston or something, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, the MEAC needs more schools. You're absolutely right. Contract expiring gives SWAC great leverage. I could see the non-sport next word come in with big dollar. No, with what Coach Prime in Jackson State and Grambling and Willie Simmons down there at FAMU and some of these other schools are doing, somebody's going to offer, even if it's not ESPN, somebody with the big network is going to offer top dollar to air SWAC games, because SWAC games it's really starting last fall, but really starting this fall is going to be can't miss television. It's going to be must see TV. Do you hear me? SWAC games are going to be must see TV, period. That's it, like period. So somebody's going to come through with a big bag for the SWAC championships. What's your way too early FCS rankings? Way too early? Okay, if I'm just doing so my way too early SWAC, or FCS, let me just focus on the SWAC because that's really who I pay attention to. But South Carolina State is going to be somewhere in there. South Carolina State, I think I'll probably put them in number 3. Jackson State's got to be number 1. Just on paper, they made the most noise. They got a lot of returners back. Aubrey Miller decided to come back. They did lose James Houston. They did lose Keith Corbin. They did lose CJ Holmes and Antoine Owen, but they replaced them. And they could potentially be getting Shamar Stewart and Harold Perkins. They got to be number 1. FAMU is number 2. I think FAMU is a better team than South Carolina State. I think FAMU and Jackson State, that first game of the season, is going to determine a lot. So I got JSU 1, FAMU 2, South Carolina State 3, because they return a ton over there in Orangeburg, I want to say. And then I got Grambling, like the G-men. Coach Hugh is loading up. The only reason why I don't have Grambling higher, because on paper, they're stacked. The only reason why I don't have them higher is because this is their first year under their coach. Everybody else got a returning coach. This is their first year under their new coach. So that would be like my top 4. Jackson State, FAMU, South Carolina State, and then Grambling. So those are the teams of my way too early, if I had to say, for HBCU football. Make HBCU football great again. No, it's great. TS, this is the time to be an HB. If you ain't never been an HBCU football fan, this right now is the best time in recent history to be an HBCU football fan. That's why there's a couple hundred people in here right now listening to me talk about, Jackson State potentially landing 2 more 5 stars, and talking about Grambling and having Wallace Umbo later on my show, and talking about, Henry Lawrence will also be on the program. Henry Lawrence, a FAMU legend. Shout out to FAMU. Henry Lawrence, 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Oakland Raiders / Las Vegas Raiders / Los Angeles Raiders. Henry Lawrence. He played under John Madden. He was a first-round pick out of FAMU. He will also be on this program on my YouTube channel, so be sure Henry Lawrence will be here. Be sure to subscribe to Jeff Lightsey Jr. Henry Lawrence, 3-time Super Bowl champion, will be on the program to talk about some new things he's got going on. He spoke at John Madden, RIP, spoke at John Madden's funeral. And he did. John Madden drafted Henry Lawrence. It's a quick story about Henry Lawrence, then I'm going to get out of here. Henry Lawrence, he was down at the Senior Bowl. And John Madden and a bunch of NFL guys were coming down there to see Ed Too Tall Jones, who ended up being the number 1 overall pick that year out of Tennessee State, I want to say. So Ed Too Tall Jones was the talk of the town. Everybody's going down there. This is like, this is a long time ago. Going down there to see Ed Too Tall Jones in the late 70s. And Henry Lawrence was at tackle and was blocking Too Tall Jones really good. And so John Madden was like, they had the 19th pick in the first round, so he knew they weren't going to get too tall. And so he was like, I want this guy, this handler his own, against the guy that's going to go number 1 overall. And that guy happened to be a FAMU legend, Henry Lawrence. So he's going to be on the show later this week on Wednesday. On Wednesday, Henry Lawrence is going to be here, so be sure to tune into that. Thank you guys so much. I can't get to all the comments, but thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Jackson State is in on Harold Perkins. They're in on Shamar Stewart. They could potentially be landing 2 more 5 stars in this 2022 recruiting class. Coach Prime told us this recruiting class was going to be better than last year's. And boy, did he stage him. Did he, he outdid himself. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys, on your way out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLighty7. I post all my content on Instagram and Twitter, JLighty7. That's me right there. Hit the thumbs up button, guys, on your way out. And I will see you next time. Peace.